So what will your role be this year?
My role, hopefully, will be to do the Giro and do the Tour. That's what I'm hoping for.
And
of course, everything changes as a support guy. Okay. Absolutely. When you got 4 riders on this team that can do what they can do, my role is a support rider. So you have to be. I think, as being a professional rider, the best thing you can do to be a good rider is know your limitations and know what you're capable of doing. And my limitations and what I'm capable of doing are absolutely to be in a role to help to get someone to the last difficult climb in the race, and when the group's down to 20 guys, still be there and be there for the leader and possibly be right in the front.
Was that a tough transition for you? I mean, your guy won a lot of races.
No, it wasn't. It wasn't. I've done it even when I was winning a lot of races in the States. I did both roles because I'm not a sprinter. So when I was with Mercury, we had Gord Fraser. He won 35, 40 races the year I came to Mercury. Yeah. And I won 10. I made, or 7, 10, 11, whatever it happened to be that particular year. But I won the big stage races. He won everything else. And
so that works. Everybody's happy.
That works. Everybody's happy. Yeah. And I understand the role of where to switch somewhere in my career after I left Française de Jeux, because at Française de Jeux, you didn't do anything. We didn't have a team. We didn't have a top leader guy. We didn't have a top stage race rider. We didn't even have really a top sprinter guy. And so at that role, at that team, you were just free to do whatever you want. You just roamed. You roamed. You're a little bit everywhere. You know, one day they're saying you got this program, then all of a sudden the next, you're going to be at home for 2 weeks, and they call you after they told you you're going to be home for 2 weeks. They call you the next day and send you in another race, and so you just roamed. You're always kind of a little lost. And then when I came on with Mercury, that's when at that age is when I really started integrating with the team more, realizing team tactics, realizing how to set up a train for the sprinters, how to go into the stage races, really how to be in more of just knowing your job 100%.
And that seems really, again, what Johan's strength is. There's no question about what you're going to be doing.
Oh yeah, there's no question.
It's all there.
Yeah, there's no question.
How many days a year are you on the bike? People don't understand how difficult it is to be a professional bike racer.
It feels like every day. Yeah. It doesn't work out that way, of course. But once January starts, you're doing 500-600 mile weeks for those January and February month. January, the first 2 weeks is normally about 400 miles. After that's 500-600, and then all the way through February is 500-600 mile weeks. And then you get into the race season, and you're doing it's a lot. It's a job.
That's a lot of miles.
Absolutely, it's a job. And so when you get in the race season, what really dictates your training and how much time you're on and off the bike is really going to be your travel. The days you're racing and then your travel. So if you're doing a 7-day stage race, you're going to travel on Monday. You're going to get back to the house. You maybe spin on the bike for an hour. Tuesday, you're riding 2 hours on the bike. I like to do 4 to 6 hours on Wednesday and Thursday. Friday, maybe you're flying to the next race.
Ever get old? I mean, that's...
Not really. Bad day. I rode today. I didn't really enjoy today. So, yeah, today got a little old. But it was windy, rainy. It got rained on, all that kind of stuff. Plus, I'm on vacation.
You're on vacation, and how far did you ride today?
45, 50 miles.
Oh, yeah, it's a vacation day.
Yeah.
I can understand that, yeah. As you've aged, you're still a young guy, but how have you changed? Have you added more weight training, core work, other things to your training? Can you do the same type of training as you did 5, 6 years ago?
Yeah, I can do the same type of training, but I would say I do less other things off the bike, actually.
Okay.
When I was spending the winters, the November, December time up in Bend, Oregon, then I do some cross-country skiing, skate skiing, snowshoeing, that kind of stuff. Less time on the bike, not much time on the bike, just 10 hours maybe a week or something. Sure. And then in January I come down to SoCal, either San Diego or some years I spent some time up in Sacramento. But the last 2-3 years always coming back down here to San Diego and doing a month and a half training down here. But in general, even with my age, it was the last race I just finished this year. I had a good run, and I was at the Tour of Lombardy, and I attacked going up the last climb that I was hoping would split the group, and it came down to just me and Cunego and Francisco Faini. He's a Italian rider with Acqua Sapone, and I caused the split, made it to selection, was perfect, and then got dropped on the descent. It was a real technical descent, really, really technical, like a crazy, crazy descent. And Cunego dropped me. And it was the first time, like I always thought I would feel my age maybe in terms of speed. But it was the first time where I felt my age where I was like, nope, I'm not going that fast.
You don't want to go over that.
I'm not going that fast.
Yeah.
I'm not going to do it. And so I thought it was really funny because when the first thing when it popped into my head that I'm not going to do that speed, I was like, wow, that's the first time I felt my age. But if I was younger, I never would have been at the front to begin with.
No, it was part of that as being a family guy and knowing, okay.
A little bit of everything.
Yeah,
I don't even think it passed in my mind that, I got to pay the rent. I think it just passed in my mind that I didn't want to go over the edge of the cliff.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, but it was, I can remember when I was much younger, I'd come down Palomar or something, and I could literally have the tires sliding around the corners, and you're not even a professional bike racer, then you're just out having a good time, and you thought that was fun. But I wasn't going to do it anymore. So
now this summer, when you guys weren't at the tour, you were up at the Cascade, the Cascade Classic.
Yeah, just Levi and myself.
Yeah, I know, and he won.
Yes, he did.
And you guys were amazing. But actually, the part that I enjoyed the most was Billy DeMong. Crashed. Yeah. He crashed, what, 2K from the finish?
Yeah, he crashed 2K from the finish of a mountaintop finish.
So tell these guys what you did during that.
Well, first off, Levi had the race leader's jersey after the time trial. So this was the first day we had to defend the race leader's jersey. And Levi called me up, and he's like, man, there's just you and I. I don't see how we can win this. Relax, man. I'll work something out.
Talk to some of the other boys.
Now, again, like I told the crowd, I've raced with a lot of different teams. And when you race with a lot of different teams, you got a lot of friends. And so I was like, take it easy, Levi. I'll work something out. Let's not give it up yet. I'm certain I could ride 50, 60 miles on the front by myself, but if I could get another guy to ride with me or two, I'm sure I can defend this. We'll bring it in the last climb, and I'll sit up, and then you go up the last climb and you keep the jersey. And so that's what happened. We had a lot of attacks at the beginning of the stage. We went down the hill. Finally, I talked to a good friend of mine. I was going to say, how does that conversation begin?
Yeah,
I did the first 20 miles on my own, and then I talked to a good friend of mine, and the bicycle business is just like the real world business. You call up friends, you get someone to come over and help you mow the lawn or something. You know what I mean? Yeah. The next weekend you return the favor, and so this particular friend I was on the same team with, and he wasn't high on GC, and his race was more or less had come down to where he's going to train and stuff like that, and he had a good team there. So I said, hey, just give me two guys, ride with me, and you guys, if you guys want to get someone in the break, go ahead, tack all day long, get someone in the break. He can go win it and everything. Just give me two guys to ride tempo to keep the break at a distance where we don't lose the jersey. And he's a friend of mine. He owes me some favors, and too. So he did it, and so him and I and one other guy rode all the way to the base of the last climb. And so now I'm like this. I'm completely tired. Levi takes off, does his job. He protects the jersey and keeps it. And I get up to the top of the climb, and I'm in the last group, and I see this young kid running with his bike, and it's this 2K, about a mile and a half to the finish. He's running with his bike. He's bleeding down his arm. He's bleeding down his hip, and I'm like, why is this guy's just ride the flat tire in is what I'm thinking. And then I look at his bike, and his derailleur's busted off, everything. He can't ride. I'm like, bummer. He's got a long ways to run. And normally when you're at the big races, there's always cars to help you. You never have to run to the finish. There's always going to be a car. You get a wheel, you get a brand new bike, whatever it is. Half the time you can change your bike and even get a better one than you had.
Straight up.
So there's never a need for a rider to do what I did, except for at this particular kind of event where it's a little bit lower budget, and so it had one car in there, but it was already up the road, and then you have your team cars, but all the team cars were up the road, and so he's running, and I was like, bummer, man, that guy's gonna have a long day, because even a mile and a half, if you're running, is pretty good distance in cycling shoes.
And he's bleeding all over the place.
And he's bleeding and all that, and carrying his bike, and so I was like, ooh, bummer, man. I can't do anything for that guy. And then after I passed him, I was, maybe the length of the distance of the shop here, I passed him, and I was like, hey, wait, maybe I can't help that guy out. So I pulled over, and I was like, hop on, I'll give you a ride. So he hops on, and I ride him into the finish. And
he's carrying his bike.
Yeah, he's holding his bike.
He's sitting on the saddle carrying the bike.
I'm carrying his bike.
Oh, you have the bike?
No, he's carrying it, but he's on my bike. So I'm carrying everything. He's holding his bike.
Right, so he's sitting in the saddle.
Right, he's sitting in the saddle. I'm out of the saddle, and he's got the bike on his shoulder. But make no mistake about it, I'm carrying everything.
Yeah, good point.
That's like your buddy sitting in the passenger seat with the bike on the roof of your car. You're driving. Right. So, anyways, I take him to the finish, and it was absolutely. It was an experience. It was something nice to do. He's a young kid. It was his first bigger race, first time racing with the pros and stuff. And so it was cool for him, and for me it's just something that it's not strange. I do it all the time, just not in a bike race.
Sure.